Deep in the woods, a settlement lived. This was during the earlier years of man. In this small settlement, a bunch of humans lived. The humans thrived in this forest. They learned and did as much as they could. They lived nicely. All they did was wake up every day. They hunted, they skinned, they harvested, and they ate, using the spare parts from the animals that they caught for fur, different parts of clothing, hats, to style their weapons and such. But soon it became a problem. As the humans realized they could farm animals more, they started taking the wild pigs, cows, boars, chickens, all the other animals that they were hunting. They started keeping them captive. But anything else that they found that they didn't need to eat or such, they would kill and harvest it, which became a problem for some animals. Most animals, being some birds, lizards, but mostly snakes, since their skin was used for a lot of style of hats and outfits. The snake population then decided to dime down. Every time they killed more snakes would just die and the population would become less and less active. Since the snake population kept being killed off more and more, they found more ways that they could fight back and such. Since they were scared of the humans and their more intelligence as well as their significant weapons, they found a different way to fight back. They chose to go for the livestock that the farmers had been collecting. Instead, almost every day or every other day, they would take another animal. What they would do to take these, what they would do to capture these animals is they would bite it and use their venom to neutralize and paralyze the animal long enough so that they could drag the animal away to consume it. But to avoid suspicion of the farmers, they would do it randomly, inconspicuously, so that the farmers did not think nothing of it. Over the past few weeks to months, they decided to do this over a period of time. But over the time, the farmers started catching on. They realized that some of their animals were missing from time to time. But since they didn't know for certain what was going on with the animals, they left it alone. So the farmers kept killing more snakes and more snakes. And the snakes kept taking more and more livestock. Eventually, a squirrel seen what was going on. And since the villagers fed the squirrel occasionally from time to time, it helped them by devising a plan with a deer to trap the snakes, to capture the snakes, and to stop them from taking the livestock. They would put markings all over the livestock so that whenever the snakes took the animal, they would leave markings on the ground. One night, the snakes grabbed one of their pigs, a boar. They neutralized the pig. They dragged the pig to the forest as they would do any other time. While they were dragging this pig, it was creating markings on the floor. In the early mornings, the deer had seen the markings and decided to follow him. He followed them and then came across their lair, the snake's home base of operations. Upon finding the lair base of operations, the deer then told the squirrel where they lived. And then the deer and the squirrel devised a plan to capture the snakes. They put traps around their little house, their little den. The snakes would come out every so often, and some would just go missing out of nowhere. Obviously, the snakes just thought it was as normal. The snakes were dying by the farmers. But eventually, there was so much more getting taken that eventually there was only a small population of snakes left. Then they all decided to come outside, and they were all captured. The deer then bought back all of these snakes to show the people The people seen the snakes. And they all decided to send the snakes away. The deer took the snakes to a faraway place, to the other side of the forest, where no one would ever see them again. Upon realizing the snakes were taken away, the villagers were now more at peace. When the deer returned, he was paid handsomely, with berries and ferns and grasses that he could eat for many, many, many weeks. He shared this with his other herd of deers. Since the humans did not know any ways of communication, they could not properly thank the squirrel. But upon hearing them, all their grunts and sighs and screams, the squirrel decided that he wanted to help him. Over the course of weeks to months, the squirrel would teach the humans how to talk, and they would begin to learn. Over those past months, they started learning more and more, and thus they got better and better at it. And then started the origin of vocalization. Learned by the humans, taught by a squirrel. They were able to teach their children and children and children on this language. Now, the forest is at peace from the snakes. The deers roam aimlessly through the forest. The village thrives again, with more and more livestock than they've had previously. The squirrels roam, jump around the trees. Some of them come to stop by the village every now and then, just to talk and listen to the story about how the snakes were causing trouble through all the farmers. And with little time, the villagers would tell the squirrels about the story of how they fought the snakes and about how they learned to talk. Thank you for listening to the story.